Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where last episode we escorted Soseki Natsume into court as his defense, with Lord Barak von Zeeks opposing us once again as the prosecution started laying out its case, and we heard our first testimony, the catastrophic night, with the victim having been poisoned by what was suspected to be strychnine, delivered in a cup of tea by the defendant. However, we noted the timelines for the poison player's term for the worst did not add up, thanks to the newly obtained medical report. This, it seems, was but a delaying tactic for the prosecution, however, as the real witnesses they wanted to call arrived to hit the stand. William Shamspeare, the victim, and a man we have seen a couple of times before. Who is this man? Yes, I feel sure that we've caught a glimpse of that man before. State your names and occupations for the court, please, witnesses. A writer of words so sweet they do scent the breeze, an inventor of ideas so profound they compose the earth. The unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare. We're the great bard to be recalled to life anew. Lo, what a magnificent man. Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shamspeare. Oh, the name's Metermann. Adron B, Metermann. I work for the Altamont Gas Company, East End Branch Office. I remember him now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh, yeah, she's right. It's him. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me, could we have a word? Ah! And off he goes. Yes, we spotted him outside Mr. Garadev's house that morning. And he's a gas company employee. What does he have to do with this case? So, Mr. William Shamspeare, you are the victim in this miserable affair, correct? Oh heaven, oh hell! Do command me to remember? That sweet poison that discrossed me and crossed mine innocent lips. I subpoenaed him for the trial, with his doctor's permission, naturally. Hearing the testimony of the aggrieved will remove any room for doubt from the jurors' minds, I'm sure. Behold, you have only to rearrange the letters of my name to see that me is a seraph, an angel indeed. Thus be I noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily honest of heart, as all heavenly angels be. Because there isn't a less contrived meaning in your name. No, not at all. The jurors seem to be very moved by this man, I'm afraid. They're actually taking this Seraph anagram idea seriously. Thank you, witnesses, for your illuminating introductions. But my lord, what's the man next to Mr. Shamspeare doing here? The gas man, I mean. What, me? Well now, allow me to enlighten my learned friend. You recall, I presume, your earlier impertinence? When you suggested that the victim had another visitor to his room on the night in question. And moreover, that the victim is a compulsive liar. What? No, I didn't quite say that. This young chin-stroker is here to controvert your wild claims conclusively. Is that not so, Mr. Metermann? Hang on. No, I'm just here. I hereby call for your formal testimonies. And you will tell the court as lucidly as possible what happened on the night in question. One may smile and be a villain. Yes, it doth pain me, but let the truth be spoken. The truth of that wintry night of my discontent. The wintry night of my discontent. The snow lay about. My neighbour did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. But marry, bitter was his drink, and when he left, I did fall prostrate on my table. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that late hour, naught else. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. No one else visited his room but that short, little, round-backed Eastern fella. Okay, Mr. Suspicion. Wait, what did you say? You were keeping an eye on Mr. Shamspeare's room all night? That's right. Of course, the bloke's window's all but blocked up, isn't it? But there's a little gap in the bricks where you can see into the room. So I spent the night trying to keep my teeth from chattering as I peered in through that. The question is, why? Ah! Well now, that's because he's on my list. What a piece of work is a man! Wherefore wouldst thou not stare in wonderment? What are you talking about? This buzzing busybody hath not part in this play. I pray him no heed. Make no more do about his tedious words. Are you a gas thief? What'd you say about me? Calm yourself. This court is concerned with what happened on the night in question. Nothing more. Indeed, that is so. And as the testimony we have just heard clearly reveals, there was no one other than the accused present at the time who could have carried out this crime. Well, I believe this may be the final testimony of the trial. And now, counsel, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. The wintry night of my discontent. The snow lay about my neighbour did cometh in the evening, bearing a gift of tea. Hold it! To be clear, by neighbour, you are referring to the defendant, Mr. Natsume. Oh, indeed, sire. Perchance thou was that I call him the man from upstairs? And at what time did the mustachioed Nipponese visit you in your room? Our meeting was promised for the hour of 9, and lo did he come to tender a gift of fragrant tea. Details which are in accordance with the defendant's own testimony, yes. And we were broad in such a literary debate as history have not seen before. By which I presume he means their discussion about who was the stronger, Romeo or Juliet. I, Shamspeare, did play the part of young Romeo, whilst my neighbour played the fair Juliet. Each of us dressed as would our characters be to bring weight upon our merry experiment. I dare not imagine the scene. Frailty, thy name is woman. Canst thou imagine how dismayed I was? Yes, I had heard of the Eastern art of jujitsu, but never did I dream 'twould be a skill practiced by the comely maiden. Juliet beat Romeo up. This is not helping our case. I believe the court has heard enough about your earth-shattering literary debate. Perhaps you could reiterate your statement about the tea that the accused brought to your room. My liege, I am thy servant. Gladly I would do thy bidding. But Mally, bitter was his drink, and when he left I did fall prostrate on my table. Hold it! Let me stop you there. Mr. Natsume left your room at 11 o'clock, but it wasn't until after 2 that the poison made you collapse. That amounts to more than 3 hours of missing time. If the defendant had really put the poison into your tea, that 3-hour window of time is something you're going to have to explain. Gladly. 'Tis an easy task. What? I did drink of the tea not while my guest is tally, but after he took leave of me. Faith, 'twas stone cold, but at 1 hour post midnight, verily were my lips parched. Objection! That doesn't sound normal. Nay, 'tis quite ordinary, sire. After all, thou wouldst recall our fiery debate. Amidst such argument, there'd be no time for fiery tea. Romeo and Juliet again, and who was stronger? Mr. Shamspeare, in summary, allow me to confirm, did you not come here with the intention of naming your attacker? But of course, my liege, 'twas the stooped lover of words did attempt to shuffle me off this mortal coil. We all know what that means. 'Twas the tea alone did pass my lips that 8 hour, naught else. Hold it! No soap. So, you didn't have any kind of evening meal? Dinner? Supper? Ha! A fee on luxury, fie on gluttony! To eat thrice daily is but a waste of time. Sorry? I would that my belly were full, no more oft than the sun doth rise. Well, most heroic eating habits, I must say. Night and day do I fill my hours with learned study of the great bard and playwright. Hence is it that there doth naught in my chamber be the costumes of mine art. That would appear to be the case, as even a rodent was found starved to death in your room. Now I think of it, it's not just food that was conspicuously missing from that room, is it? I don't recall seeing a single play or script anywhere. For I have devoured them all. You've eaten them? Every word be within my skull. Didst thou imagine otherwise? Right, that wasn't misleading at all. Now, could you turn around, do you think? Which brings us to the conclusion that the only way the poison could have passed the victim's lips is in the tea. I was outside this bloke's window in the freezing cold all night, keeping an eye on his room. Hold it! But the windows of that house have all been filled in. A historical artifact of the now defunct window tax? Yeah, you're right there. All bricked up horribly. Well, as it happens, there's a little part of the brickwork at the bottom corner that's been opened up. I was looking in through that gap. Yes, there were a few bricks loose, weren't there? And for some strange reason, a couple of bars of soap lined up on the ledge outside as well. I don't like going around poking my chin in other people's business, especially on freezing cold nights. But them's my orders, so that's what I'll keep doing. As long as there's breath in my body. What's with all the theatricals today? Out of interest, Mr. Metermann, after the accused had left and returned to his own lodgings, did you see the victim leave the room at all? No, he never left. He was in the room the whole time as far as I'm concerned. And we can therefore discount the possibility of suicide. How can you be sure of that? The police carried out a thorough investigation of the scene and found no receptacle for the poison. And since we know the victim didn't leave his room and hence didn't dispose of the poison's container himself, it's clear that this was no attempted suicide. Only the culprit could remove the receptacle. Ah, yes. Lucidly explained, Counsel. Thank you. It really was. You can't argue with the logic. No one else visited his room but that short little round-backed Eastern fella. This ain't looking good, is it? Hold it! You say a short little round-backed Eastern fella, so you can't be sure it was a defendant then?
Objection!
How many other short little round-backed nippies with a mustache do you think there are in London? Well, of course, it's only a narrow gap, and it was quite dark, so I didn't notice the mustache. He showed up at around 9, so I'm pretty sure of myself. And when the person you saw arrived, did he and Mr. Shamspeare drink tea together? Nah, sorry, I couldn't say. Why not? Because I couldn't see into the room all that well, could I? What I did see was the silhouette of that little brown-backed fella wearing a pretty dress. And the pair of them started some kind of wrestling match. I'll tell you, I didn't know what to make of it. I suppose that was the Romeo and Juliet championship battle getting underway. Mr. Metermann, allow me to confirm one final time. Apart from the accused, can you state with certainty that no one else visited the victim on the night in question? No question. Gasman's honor. Hold it. My lord! Goodness me! Yes, Mr. Foreman. I've kept my mouth shut and listened up to now, but this has gone on long enough. Are you all with me? Yes! Are we to understand that you ladies and gentlemen of the jury are in agreement with one another? That you've reached a unanimous decision? Too right we have. Are you all with me? Yes! Wait, no, the defense is in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, I was holding out a bit of hope for you, young man. Especially after you identified those few hours that followed the accused leaving the victim's room. Yes, the 3 missing hours, as you put it. But in the end, what difference do they make? None as far as I can see. As since that's now apparent, there's really no reason to delay our decision any longer. Like I was saying before, if I don't take 5 bob home for me tonight, the business will blow her top. What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. Very well. Let the court be apprised of your decisions. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. And that was me thinking he couldn't hear what was going on. All of you? Well, it would appear that the jury is indeed unanimous. And so, this time at least it seems justice will be done. All's well that ends well, as they say. This calls for a toast, I feel. To the guilty being punished. Get up, Mr. Naruhodo, please. The trial isn't over yet. What do you mean, Mr. Zato? What about the information I found in this encyclopedia of British law I have? That obscure right that belongs to the defense in these situations, remember? A summation examination. Yes, that's right. We don't have a jury in Japanese courts, of course. But here in a British court of law, if we can reverse the decisions of a majority of the jurors, we can force the trial to continue. This trial can't end now. Whatever it takes, I just can't let that happen. The defense moves to invoke its right to a summation examination, my lord. Why am I not surprised at my learned Nipponese friend's inability to admit defeat? You choose to cling desperately to some archaic rule you barely comprehend instead of accepting the truth. Certainly no other defense counsel in recent times has exercised the right to a summation examination. Because they all know that once the jury's mind is set, it cannot be altered. And nevertheless, the right remains and must be upheld. The defense counsel's request is granted. This court will proceed with a summation examination as outlined in the Encyclopedia of British Law. Thank you, my lord. Are you and your fellows prepared, Mr. Foreman? Believe me, my lord, we know all about this young lad's tenacity. And we're ready for it. Very well. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby call upon each of you to state the ground upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime for which he stands accused. The jurors' contentions. Let's have a look. The victim may not be well off, but he's a nobleman and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man. Well, I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid. Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache. Very fishy. There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraudman, for now at least. I really don't care. I just need this trial to end quickly. 3 hours of missing time is nothing when you reach my age, you know. Nothing at all. I knew it. Every single one of them seems completely convinced. It would seem that all the jurors have come to the conclusion that Mr. Shamspeare is a fine, upstanding, and honest citizen. If you ask me, they've all been bewitched by his strange theatrical movements, have they? Some kind of hypnotism? And sadly, nothing Mr. Natsume has said appears to have registered at all. Well, here goes. Let's not forget. I pleaded with the jury on Saseki-san's behalf before and it worked, so you never know. Before we begin, it might be an idea for me to remind you exactly how a summation examination works, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh. Well, you're still very new to British law, after all. That's true, I suppose. And Saseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands now, too. There's always a chance I might have forgotten some crucial detail. Perhaps I should hear Suzaru-san out first. I wonder, should I let her talk me through it again, or not bother? Well, in this case, we're going to say no need, because I am up on my courtroom summation examinationing on the basis of the fact that we've just gone through so many trials doing it. Thank you for the kind offer, Miss Susato, but I've been through plenty of these summation examinations already now. I think it's important that we don't delay the start any longer than necessary. Of course, I understand, and I'm quite sure you're right. If you're confused by anything at any point, you can turn to me for advice whenever you like. I'll be here for you. The key to this is really listening carefully to each juror's statement, finding two that are contradictory, and pitting the corresponding jurors against each other.
Without further ado, please, counsel, proceed with the summation examination.
Yes, my lord. The defense's rebuttal.
The victim may not be well off, but he's a nobleman and straight up. There's no reason to doubt the man.
Hold it!
Well, there are plenty of people in London who seem noble but poor. Couldn't some of them also be liars?
I've no doubt about it. Well, that shaky clan of yours, for example.
Absolutely not. Mr. Natsume is no liar.
Look, the point is, the only thing that passed the victim's lips that night was that Japanese man's tea. When you take the gasman's testimony into account as well, the truth couldn't be any clearer.
Well, that's alarmingly logical.
Well, let me be frank here. I'm a gentleman, with a gentleman's values. If it turns out that the old Shakespearean chum is a rotten liar after all, I'd gladly change my decision about the defendant. And I'm sure my fellow gentlemen on the jury would do the same. Isn't that right?
Well, yes, perhaps, though I don't see it happening.
What's that? Elderly gent on the end here, you know. I'll have to speak up. Look, I really don't care about all this nonsense. I just need this trial to be over.
How many gentlemen do we actually have on the jury, then? Alright, sir, I may hold you to that. Don't forget what you said.
Huh.
So.
Alright, if you can show me the victims of that, I'll reconsider my position.
Okay, then. But I do declare the good gentleman has no reason to lie. In fact, I think he's rather splendid.
Hold it!
Are you saying you believe the man to be trustworthy because he's rather splendid? No, that's not what I said. The point is, the man is the victim here. What reason would he have to lie? And yes, he is rather splendid.
So you say, yet again.
Meanwhile, the man who stands accused behaves so suspiciously it's exhausting to look at him.
That's very true.
I'm afraid he's not splendid at all.
Splendid logic there, madame. Thank you so much.
Just look at the accused by comparison. He's Japanese, stoops all the while, and has a mustache.
Very fishy. Oi.
No. Not one of those things is a reason to find the man guilty.
But he is fishy. There's no point dancing around the fact. He's Japanese, he has a mustache, and he stoops.
You see, you arrive at the conclusion in just 3 steps. 3 steps. Like a waltz, in fact. You know, the more I think about it, the more this trial seems like a dance.
You seem to be several steps ahead of yourselves, though.
And you're on the wrong foot.
No, there's nothing but circumstantial evidence here. There's no actual proof of the defendant's guilt.
The victim's version of events is backed up by what the big chin man next to him says, isn't it? 1, he saw the Japanese man there. 2, he saw no one else. And 3, he saw the Japanese man there.
Oh.
That's another 3 steps. All this really does seem more and more like a waltz, doesn't it?
Right, and the prosecution will waltz its way to victory if I let you speak much more.
There's no evidence to suggest the gangling actor is a fraudman, for now at least.
Hold it!
A fraudman? What do you mean by that, madame? It really is a most tiresome problem for the company, most irritating. We can be absolutely certain that a customer is stealing from us, but without hard evidence, we can't even threaten to take action for fear of being sued.
I'm sorry, you've lost me a little there. Who are you?
I'm the wife of Augustus Altamont, owner of the Altamont Gas Company.
Good gracious, Altamont Gas, you say?
Gas is the future of energy in this country and around the globe. The proper handling is essential. As I'm sure our employee from the East End branch office would be the first to agree.
Absolutely, Lady Quimby. Gotta be used properly. Almond gas is the best in the world, of course.
I think we may have solved the mystery of the bow from earlier, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right, he bowed in deference to his employer's wife, did he?
So would I be right in assuming that the reason Mr. Metermann was watching what Mr. Shamspeare was up to in his room? I'm afraid that there's no end to the lengths the population of the East End will go to in order to steal our gas. So I really have no choice when the company identifies somebody as a possible fraudsman. But to dispatch a worker to watch the suspect day and night, we're very thorough in our investigations.
So you mean Mr. Shamspeare is...
I wouldn't come out and say it in public, but you can finish that sentence with a grubby little gas thief.
You have noticed the public gallery in here, have you?
The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. Faith, wouldst thou wound me with thy words, were I to let them penetrate the skin? But sell us here not insults, only choirs of angels in song. We may not have evidence yet, but my workers won't stop buzzing round you until they find it. And when they do, you'll find yourself blasted back to your angelic heights in an ultimate gas explosion. So Mr. Shamspeare has been stealing gas.
I wonder, juror number 4, if you wouldn't mind adding that information to your statement.
My pleasure. Was it the bit about ripping that thief apart you enjoyed?
A little before the part about abject violence, if it's not too much trouble.
Yes, of course.
This could be it. This could shift the balance.
The victim puts on a fine performance, but in reality is a common thief of my company's gas.
Right, if you can show me the victim's a liar, I'll reconsider my position.
He's a gas thief, sir.
So he's not to be trusted. He's not straight up. That should be fine. We haven't even checked out the other two. It would make more sense for us to check out the other two first, to be perfectly fair. Let's go for it.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Well, yeah. Good gracious. Two statements you refer, counsel. Juror number 1. What are you yelling about, lad?
I presume you've heard juror number 4's statement, made by the wife of the owner of Ultimate Gas.
Well, yes. The victim, who you claim to be a noble, straight-up man, in fact, turns out to be a common thief. So the good lady says. There's no evidence, is there? You and I both heard them say as much.
It's true, we don't have evidence as such, just yet. But the claims aren't baseless, you know.
What?
You heard me. Seeing as his operation has already been compromised, I would suggest that the court hears testimony from our East End branch office employee over there.
I'll do whatever you say, my lady. Gasman's order. Juror number 1, you say you're a man of your word. If I could show that Mr. Shamspeare was a liar, you assured me that you would reconsider your decision about the defendant's guilt. Yes, I did say that. And as a man of honor, I'll hold to it. As I'm sure the other gentlemen of the jury will. Me? Oh, well, yes. Now that we've found out the man's a liar, perhaps we ought to consider the matter further. Well, if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't heard half of what you've all been saying. So if this means you'll recap a few points, that would suit me down to the ground. Oh no, I'm not having any part of this. I want this trial over and done with.
In that case, I shall change my leaning. Wait, what? We didn't have to do, like, 2 pairs?
So, Mr. William Shamspeare, if that is your real name, we of the jury demand to know exactly what kind of a man you really are.
And so in the blink of an eye, we overcame it.
That's 4 jurors. 4 for not guilty.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Victory!
Order! Order! Well, this is quite extraordinary, I must say. As a result of the defense's summation examination, the jury's leaning has changed. Now only 2 jurors say guilty, whilst 4 say not guilty. I therefore declare this court to be in a state of disaccord. And order the trial to continue.
You have spoiled the bouquet, Mr. Shamspeare. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury now find they are unable to trust you, the victim. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. So God mend me. I do swear. This gasman speak of that which concerns him most, naught but gas, naught but thin air. Aye, it burneth bright a while, but it hath no substance, and it doth reek foul.
Oi, what you say? Do I take it, Mr. Shamspeare, that you deny the allegations of gas thievery?
Most hardly, my lord. Hast thou forgot? I am as a seraph, an angel. Noble of mind, sweet of nature, and verily, honest of heart.
Ah, you flowery-mouthed pompous beanpole, just because I haven't got the evidence yet.
Mr. Shamspeare, if in fact you are not noble of mind, sweet of nature, honest of heart, if you are a liar, then your testimony should have no sway in this courtroom.
It is my considered opinion that at the present time no other possible culprit of this crime has been identified. All testimony heard by the court thus far heavily implicates the defendant. In short, it would not be unreasonable at this stage for me to rule on the case.
What? Well, the judge wants to just go like, oh, there's no one else. That's it, we're done. Who cares about a jury? No, judge. It's 4 in our favour now. 2 against. This continues, Mr. Judge, which I'm sure he's about to say, but we will find out what he's about to say next time on the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Hopefully, you'll join me for more of a Summation Examination Overcome. I'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.